TAQ Capital, technical analysis quickly.
This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Before taking any action based on the information provided on this channel, it is recommended that you seek the advice of a professional licensed financial advisor.
Let's do this.
All right, welcome back to the channel. It's time to discuss some Bitcoin, especially after yesterday's meltdown. I'm currently on the daily chart here. I just want you to zoom out a bit so you can see what we've been doing. So we peaked back in here November 10th of last year. And we've come down and we hit bottom, which was our 17,000 and change mark on June 18th, sorry. And if we zoom in here some more, you can see we've been in this purple wedge since then. The big meltdown that took place on August 19th, that one took us down to the support line of the purple wedge, the bottom of it. And we kind of drug a week out here in consolidation before we finally broke through. We tested it in a couple times here, but then we finally broke through yesterday. And this was a 6% drop on an already hurting Bitcoin here. So the question becomes now, where do we go from here? So zooming in closely, this is the 30-minute chart. And we can see that 9 a.m. yesterday is when this all started. And we came crashing down and had a little sideways action, crashing down again, and now we're in some sideways action. So the wedges are going to tell us what we can expect, or at least give us an idea. Nothing's perfect. But when we fell down into this green wedge, we've got 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits, 4 hits. And then now we're doing a bounce. So we can come all the way down here, turn around and go back out. Or we could just turn around right here and go back out. It just depends. So we then draw a red wedge off the last hit, or the last 2 hits in this case, to determine where we're going from here. So we've got our first hit on the red, second hit on the red, third hit on the red is happening right now, and then we should be looking at something up here. Now, as you know, when we have a wedge that's where the top line's going up and the bottom line's going down, we don't know if it's going to break up or if it's going to break down. It's not like when we have 2 lines going down where we know it's going to break up. When we have 2 lines going up, we know it's going to break down. It doesn't work that way. So we're not 100% sure. So if we look at other things like the Bollinger Bands and the Ichimoku Cloud, it might be able to tell us more. On the 30-minute, you can see we are way outside the Bollinger Bands here. And typically, yes, these Bollinger Bands act like elastic. So the more that you push against the elastic, the more resistance is building up and pressure to throw the coin back the other way. I'm not saying it's going to be like that. I mean, it could just be something like this. But that would give us a reason to believe that we're coming up here to the top of the wedge, which is inevitable. It's just, is the red going to come down further first, and then this becomes our 3rd hit before we get our 4th hit somewhere up here? So that's all we're really wondering. But the wedges in, 2.5 years that I've been watching these have never been wrong. So we do have to break the wedge. I mean, and you can even see now that we're in this white wedge that started back here yesterday at 9 a.m. This is our 2nd hit. This is our 3rd hit. So we have a 4th hit brewing. So that actually does have to be lower. But there's 2 ways that this could go. Because right now I've got this as the 2nd hit. If I move this around, which is quite possible, and I'll show you that Bitcoin's already done this before, we could be coming in, somewhere more like here for that 4th hit. So we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I zoom out to the daily, Bitcoin did it here in the green wedge that started at the all-time high. So there was 1, and instead of this being 2, we took this as 2. And then this was 3, this was 4, and now we're waiting for that breakout. So if Bitcoin comes down here and hits the 10K, which a lot of people have been talking about, myself included, then the 10K would not actually be a hit on this line, and then we would turn around and this would probably be our breakout. So this switching from here to here thing does happen. So originally, as this was happening, we had that be our second point. And then when this came out down like this, we would have thought that because this was 1, this was 2, this was 3, 4 would have to be down here. But when 4 was here, all we did was move the line over. So we drew it to that last point and then pivoted this out. And then we have a perfect wedge. We just don't know exactly as it's unfolding. And that's the thing. So let's zoom back in. So if this bottom of the white wedge pivots in like this, you know, might be able to expect something where we come down here for that 4th hit in the white wedge, which would then obviously be the breakout of the red. Sorry, not quite. Let me draw these so I can keep track of them. 2 of the red, and then this would be 3 of the red, and this would be 4 of the red. So as we bounce off the 3rd of the red, it would be the 4th of the white, which would take us up to the 4th of the red, breaking us out of the white wedge. So that's something that we could definitely expect. But you can see here, as I was talking about how far we were outside of the Bollinger Band there, once we poked that far out, the elasticity pulled the candle back in. And that's how those Bollinger Bands work. So let's see if we can see anything else on the other time frames. Here's a 15-minute time frame. You can also see how the Tichin and the Kijin and the Tichin make that Tenkin. Oh my God, the Kijin and the Tenkin here, dog-eared. That's another thing that pulls them back up. So when you see that happen, along with the Bollinger Bands, you know we're going to have a bit of a reversal. But you'll notice that it can't reverse that much without us breaking the wedge. And we can't break the wedge because we haven't had 4. So let's say that it does something like this, where it comes out and it breaks out of the green. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the green, and we do a swoop down, breakout, and we complete the green. So then we'd have to take the white wedge and move it out to that point that it hits. So then we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a breakout maybe somewhere over here. So again, this whole thing is unfolding, and the wedges just give us an idea of what to expect. This is a particularly shitty scenario. We can't really tell exactly what's going on because these wedges are just not friendly. I mean, these symmetrical wedges, the sideways broadening wedges like this that don't let us know it's going to break up or down, those are annoying as hell. The green wedge is letting us know we're going to break up, and if we look at the Ichimoku cloud and the Bollinger Bands, this looks like we're going to complete the green here pretty soon, which tells us that we are going to be moving this the top of the white wedge out. But again, that doesn't really give us the exact answers. So, I mean, maybe it's going to be something that's more like this, and we're going to pivot even down further. And this is our first hit. This is our second hit. We end up with our third hit as we break out of the green. Our 4th hit is here, and then we break up here and complete to the red before we have a freaking meltdown, and we actually break out the bottom of this thing. Just because we hit this line doesn't mean we're not doing a full reversal and breaking down out of the bottom of the red. That's the thing with these sideways broadening wedges. However, I will say that if this is 1 and this is 2, if we get 3 down here and 4 up here, it is more likely that we're going to do a bounce and then break up. That happens more often than not. But because if you zoom out and you look at the macro, and this is only the 15-minute chart, the macro is telling us we're going down a lot more, because I still think we're going to be hitting the 10, even 8K range. So that could very well be hitting here and then breaking down and going out. But another scenario is if we do come up here and we hit this as our 4th and we do break out, it could just flop over and then come crashing down. So it still means that this wedge was true, and then we get the flop. So I still say on the macro, we got a lot more downside. On the micro, I don't like this setup. It's not readable enough, so I wouldn't be doing any scalp trades on it. But that is entirely up to you. To zoom out again to the daily, just so I can end here on the macro, because that's what's the most important. I'm going to jump up even a little further. Check out the 3-day. I mean, on the 3-day, you've got both the Kijin and the Tenkin coming straight down. That's obviously a very, very bearish sign. On the 5-day, you end up back in the territory where the Tenkin is on the bottom and the Kijin's on the top. Now, as I've described this kind of acts like an air brake, and it did the same thing here, which pulled this up, and this was, back June 18th. So, I mean, this looks good, and the fact that this is curving like this looks good, but you got to remember that these only update every 5 days. So when this ticked up and this pulled down, the next candle could take the Tenkin and make it do something like this, which could then turn the Kijin down as well. And this candle, is going to populate in 2 days on the 29th. So that'll give us a little bit more information. It takes a lot to start shifting the Tenkin and the Kijin on time frames like 5 day, 6 day, and so on. So instead of gradually unfolding during the candle, which you see all the time on the 30-minute and the 1 hour and even on the 2 hour, you don't really see that much. It would have to be a major move. Like if the candle came down here, then you might see this drop in the tip, but it didn't. It was just, from the macro view, this was nothing that happened. So it just hasn't flipped them down yet. But the next candles, if they come out like this, then it's not looking good. And to be frank, I don't think it's looking good anyway, because we fell short of hitting this. So we haven't even had our first test yet, let alone bounce breakout. So I think we're going to fall down, then we're going to come over and we're going to test, then we're going to do a bounce breakout. It's going to be something like that. That's my prediction. But anyway, this video is already longer than I'd like it to be, so I'm going to wrap this up. That's it for me today, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to get frequent updates as things are unfolding, granted, it might not be your coin. It might be if I do it on Bitcoin and you're not in Bitcoin, that's not helping you very much. Although Bitcoin is king, and where Bitcoin goes, it tends to drag the rest of the market. So Bitcoin, I do updates regularly. I follow coins like Atom, Matic, Pirate, and I kind of look at them all, but I can't make videos on all of them because I do have a life as well. But if you do have any requests, please feel free to send those over, and I'll get that chart done for you and post it up. But Instagram and Telegram are excellent ways to stay in the know, because I can just draw right into those apps, explain what's happening real time, and if you have any questions, you'll probably find your answers there. But thanks again for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next video.